Hello everyone. Whoops. Just bumped my coffee. I am just going to take a second here to chat with some coffee, and you can let me know if you can hear me okay. From my settings it looks alright, so I'm hoping it's coming through okay to you all as well. And I'm seeing in the chat that everyone's brought some projects, or at least a lot of people are talking about what they've brought for their projects, which is really fun. I have my terrazzo slip over as well. Oh my gosh, Grace, you just won Yarn Chicken with an inch to spare. That is always such a victory. Oh, great. Thank you so much for letting me know that. Everything sounds good. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm literally joining you in my pajamas. I had not such a good sleep last night, so I might be a little bit quieter or a little bit like lower energy today, but I was still really excited to join everyone. So I can't wait to see how everyone's doing, what everyone's working on. We've got some sock knitting from Catherine. Oh, that's cool. A self-striping sock yarn. Abram's got a 1940s doily table mat. Oh, I love little crochet doilies. Ooh, a 1940s sweater that Beth is casting on. Oh my gosh, yeah, the knit one, purl one, rib at the bottom always takes a while. We've got some embroidery from Source Dancer. Mittens, you need them to match a set you're making, so you'll do your best, Lena. That sounds good. Oh, that's so great. Maybe a little quiet. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can move my microphone a little bit closer, because I am, like I said, I'm pretty tired today, so I'm going to be a little chiller when I'm talking. I hope that's okay. Awesome. I also am joining you for my reading corner today. I decided to set it up here because it's a beautiful day outside, and I have a really nice view. I'm very lucky to have a beautiful view from out here. And it's been a bit since the last live stream, but we worked on some stuff, so we had to wait a while for some installers to come. We actually pulled new cables for internet to see if we can get the connection quality to be a little bit better this time. So hopefully it won't be as laggy today. The other problem that we had is that my camera died every 30 to 40 minutes last time because I had to go off of batteries. And this time I've wired my camera so they can plug in. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll be okay. And I figured out how to get rid of that ominous like autofocus box on my face. So I think I straightened out some tech stuff, but we might still have some other things to work on. And I decided to do the live stream. For me, it's exactly the middle of the day. It's noon, but I wanted to be a different time so that maybe more people could join from other time zones. So I'm enjoying doing this. So, Amelia's, you're working on your sock madness socks. I like that. Finally getting around to fixing the hem on a sweater that's been waiting in the naughty bin for months. Oh, Sarah, I can sympathize with that. Where you have things in the naughty bin or time out. That sounds so good. Working on a star-shaped crochet blanket. Bonnie, that sounds really nice. It's been a while since I've worked on any blankets, and I found one recently where I just really loved the color combination. I was very, very tempted to buy a kit, but I'm trying really hard to work more from my stash, so I held off on that one. Oh, you're eating some Nutella? Nice. Olive oil. That sounds, as you know, my favorite food. Rowena is working on knitting up a shawl. That sounds good. Rose art, you're drawing right now. Rose art as in don't they have art supplies that are rose art? I know, that's what chill vibes are good. I'm glad. You're here from Southern California. Hello, Deborah. That's fun. Hopefully you're having not such nice weather today. And all little legs. I was trying to finish it February and I made progress, but I got bored, frustrated, and cast on a summer tank top for your first thrift flip yarn. Oh, that's fun. I love doing thrift flips with your yarn. Yeah, I mean, okay, so if anyone doesn't know, Roxanne was able to join us last time, which was really fun. I don't know if she's here today, but Roxanne Richardson, highly recommend checking out her channel if you haven't yet, hosts Finish It February every year, where you kind of take a look at all of your unfinished objects, UFOs, or works in projects, WIPs, and make a decision on what to do with them, whether you frog them, you work on them, but kind of try to make some sort of progress with your UFOs and whips. And I had a lot of plans, and so far I've really only touched it in the live stream at the end of the month so far, which is one of my projects. I'll get it out now. It is the Terrazzo Slip Over by Petite Knits. I was working last time on the collar, so the point at which I started the Terrazzo Slip Over for Finish It February was the entire body was done and a bit of the collar, and I finished the collar. So I was knitting a little bit last night to finish it because it has the Italian bind off or cast off, and I knew that I really needed to concentrate to do that one correctly, and that would just not be compatible with hanging out with you all, so I did that yesterday. And now I just have the armholes to go, so that's what I'll be working on a little bit today. What else? Happy to join from the Netherlands. It's 8 p.m. You're knitting your dad a pair of socks. Michelle, that sounds really nice. Oh, I'm glad you could join. I know that we had some people join last time and it was like 3 a.m. or something, which is really fun as well, but it's nice to have changing times sometimes so people from different time zones can join live. Sophie, you're working on... Oh, it's Fastnacht. Yeah, I remember. Costume technically is due Wednesday evening. You need to sew tons of fake flowers on for a fairy cloak. I wish you speedy sewing. That's so fun. I moved away from Germany when I was quite young, and I didn't spend a ton of time. Like, I could only go during school breaks when I was older, so I was never there for Fasching or Fastnacht, but I heard a lot about it, so that sounds fun. Brisket and ribs. Hello, thanks for the company while you finish up your first Oslo hat. Oh, that sounds fun. I love knitting hats too. Those are always a nice finish. And hi from Scotland, working on your Oh My Figure dress tonight. Oh, that sounds fun. Carpsy. You're knot binding socks at the moment. That's really cool, Richard. Are you working off of a particular pattern, like a historical pattern, or anything more modern? I don't know. I'm always, again, outbinding is one of the things on my very long list of crafts that I kind of want to pick up at some point. You're in the UK working on a Japanese rice bag, taking a break because my neck aches. Oh yeah, that's always so tough. I feel like with crafting, I always want to bend down. Was it last year or the year before? I forget exactly when, but I had those glasses that allowed you to look straight ahead, but view things down because I was sewing so much that my neck got so sore, but they're heavier than I expected, so then I got sore in other places. I don't know, and then I get very motion sick so easily, so I had to be like really still when I wore them, or else I gave myself motion sickness, which is just kind of funny. Erin, favorite yarning snack? Oh gosh, well I have a huge sweet tooth, so I like anything sweet. The only problem is, especially when I eat anything with chocolate, if it gets like melted on my fingers, and I don't want to get it on my project. This one, I guess, it would be easier to get out, but sometimes when I'm working on light color projects, I have to be really careful because I am so clumsy. I constantly am dropping food all over my place. I don't know what you think. Oh, we got someone from Poland knitting socks. Oh, we got a lot of sock projects. I love that. And Rosa, I didn't think of the brand when I used this as my name on here. That's kind of funny. I don't know why that was the first thing I thought of. There was a project I wanted to frog and reuse the yarn, but you can't find it. Oh no, Allie Little Legs. That is really frustrating. You know what happened to me is I got a set of roving to spin, and I just finished one of the colors, and I was really excited to do the other 2 colors, and I could have sworn I knew exactly where I put it, and I just can't find it anymore. So I think it's gonna hopefully turn up at some point, unless it like grew legs and walked away on its own, but that's kind of funny. Knitting with Betty. Hello everyone. I was trying to finish it February, so far only finished one thing. Yeah, I haven't even finished anything yet. Hopefully, last time we got a few people who chimed in saying that they finished something, so hopefully this time we can get a few more people chiming in that they finished some. That's always really fun to be able to celebrate that together. So hopefully we can see that, but we'll have to see. What else? We have Chloe working on a mosaic crochet bag in England. Hello. I love, my mom is a master of mosaic crochet, and she makes some beautiful, like she's made me a shawl and things. I love that. That sounds beautiful. Mad Cricket, you're making a Battenberg blanket with 2-inch squares in sock yarn. I said it. I was going to say, wow, that is quite some work, but that sounds beautiful. Not working on any projects today, working from home, recovering from some unexpected health scares over the weekend. Oh my gosh, Maggie, I'm so sorry. I hope that you are recovering well, and yeah, just hopefully can take it easy. We can kind of relax. What else do we have? Woolly Bat, I'm wearing my successful, finish if very successful right now. Yay, the Woolly Bat, congrats. That's amazing. I'm so glad we have that. We've got someone stuck at work, but you're trying to get thumbs on your double knit wrist warmers. Oh, nice. I love knitting like mittens and wrist warmers, but the thumbs, I don't know why. The thumbs always mess me up sometimes. Always and sometimes. Again, I did not sleep very well last night, so I'm going to be a little bit like maybe calmer, quieter, and it might take me a second to find the right phrases or words. You're working on, I have to crochet my scrappy granny square blanket together, and it's my least favorite part of granny square. Oh yeah, when you finally finish all the individual pieces and then you have to put them together. For me in knitting, it's like weaving in the ends, sewing things up. I agree. Yeah, that's always so hard. Hi from Norway, frogging 2 projects and knitting up a baby blanket from the yarn instead. Oh, Therese, I love that idea. That's really nice. And then Abby, I eat all my snacks with chopsticks when I'm crafting. Keeps your hands clean. That I have seen that as a tip, and I love that idea. I do have chopsticks, so that might be helpful in the future. What do we have? Oh, Autumn Fox, your knitting has been slow because you have a teething baby. Yeah. I'm glad that you can hang out right now and maybe get some knitting done. That sounds really nice. We have people from all over. This is so fun. In Michigan, in Prague. That's so fun. Oh my gosh, Erin, congrats on finishing your very first pair of socks last night. Are they for you or for someone else? Do they fit well? Do you like them? That's so exciting. I don't think I saved my first pair of socks, unfortunately, but they are a very satisfying finish for sure. Oh, you're working on little bluebirds of happiness from some samples you spun? That sounds really lovely. Is that a crochet or knitting pattern? I don't think I've ever heard of that. That's so fun. You made 4 rows of crochet skirt, ripped it, now restarting. Well, that's always, that's why most of my projects land in the UFO pile or naughty pile or timeout pile. Oh, hi, Roxanne. So Roxanne's in the chat. I mentioned it a little bit before, but she hosts Finish It February every year, which is what I'm trying to do as part of this live stream, which is to work on my terrazzo slip over from Petite Knits. I finished the collar, which I was working on last time, and now I'm doing 1 of 2 ribbings for the armholes on this. And then after the 2 ribbings, I still have to weave in all of these ends that you can see dangling down, and then I don't know if I can finish it before the end of February. I'm going to be honest, but I'm going to try. And at least I have made more progress in this in the last week than I did in the last 3 years. So that's great. The Princess Ma, you just finished a cardigan today. Congrats. That's amazing. Oh, and definitely check out Roxanne Richardson's channel. Amazing resource for so much information, inspiration, ideas, techniques, exploration of knitting. It's really cool. Can highly recommend. That's so cool. The Crafted Camper, I've only finished 2 of your 6 things so far. Yeah, I feel you. I think I had a similar list, and I'm not yet at 1. So at least we're making progress. And I think that's the biggest thing of Finish Your February, is to make some progress and make some decisions on the stuff that's outstanding, which feels really nice. Brisket and Riz, I finished a Sonia sweater last week. When I tried it on, I had a horrible allergic reaction. No! Oh, that's so frustrating. I'm so sorry. I'm glad you finished it, but I'm sorry that you had an allergic reaction. Alexa, you just finished spinning an art band you got 2 years ago. Oh, I love seeing those art bots and how they finish up. That's really, really good. And we've got someone, oh, sometimes the chat scrolls up. Sorry. I have to kind of go through it. I'm sorry, I'm constantly at my face because Nutella, this is her favorite chair. And so it's like I try my best to clean the hair off of it, but it's just always covered in her fur. And so I'm sitting on it and I'm talking and I'm moving. It kind of, I can't think of the phrase, but it kind of like puts the fur in the air and then it sticks to my face. So it's tickling me. So I'm constantly trying to wipe it off a little bit. So it's kind of funny. Okay, Carrie, you finished your entrelac knit lap blanket over the weekend. Oh, congrats. That's amazing. You're working on gloves that somebody decided to put stranded work in. Oh my gosh. Now you have to sew in a bazillion ends and it's all superwash. I wish you luck on that. Yeah, sewing in ends, especially on something as like delicate and small as gloves. In superwash, I wish you a lot of luck with that. You're knot binding without a pattern. Some Viking period socks for your reenactments using some beautiful wool from Shetland. Oh, that sounds really nice. I love Shetland wool. I have my mystery sweater that I'm looking at right there is from Jameson's of Shetland wool. And I really enjoy it so much. That sounds really cool that you're doing that for your Viking reenactments. And, well, hi from Bavaria. I finished and fixed a few things in February, but cast on even more. Yeah, that's the problem when I was putting all my projects together. I found a lot of yarn and projects kits that I want to work on so bad. So I feel like my list has also just grown rather than decreased. How to unwind yarn to make it so hard because it's so long. Mama Zess, are you talking about, do you have a skein and you're trying to wind it into a cake to knit or crochet from? If that's the case, I can highly recommend some sort of ball winder. You can do it by hand, but it's a little bit easier if you have a ball winder or at least a Swift to manage the skein while you're winding it by hand. And Swifts can sometimes be a little bit less expensive if that's something that you're keeping an eye on. Question, what do you think about the Yavaz sock yarn from Merle? I think I saw a comment about a question about that too. I haven't picked up that project to reknit it again. It's also down there. But when I was working on it, I did really enjoy it. And that forest green, I don't know if it's just because I'm not looking correctly, but I find it hard to find that shade. So I also really like the shades. It's not just the yarn, but I really like the shades that are available. I've always wanted a sweater in that color. So that is probably also swaying me a lot, but I do very much like that yarn. Like what I did knit up felt very authentic because I also have some vintage sweaters and it seemed incredibly close to the hand and feel of the vintage sweaters that I have from a similar time period that I was knitting from. We're working on a blanket. How long have you been doing lives? It's very brave. You'd like to have a go at some point, but not sure if you're brave enough. Spindle Tree Studio. I did a few lives a few years ago just because I thought it would be fun. It was a little less intimidating because I wasn't expecting quite as many people to be there. So now there's more people, which is really exciting. But yeah, last time I was like, I'll be honest, I was pretty embarrassed because of all the tech issues I was having. I decided it kind of last minute and then realized that the conditions were less than ideal, but it's hard with a live, it's hard to test. I guess the one thing I can recommend is if you can have like a secondary test channel. It takes a while to be allowed to do a live stream from that, but you can, and you can test your settings and maybe have a friend watch you before you go live to everyone, because that is when you have issues, it's not super relaxing to try to fix it live like I did last time. I'm glad that this time though, like we don't have the ominous square. It's looking like, from what I can see, the connection is hopefully not too laggy and pretty okay. I mentioned it earlier, I don't know if everyone heard it, but the reason it took me so long to do another live is we pulled a new cable for internet because the last one was so degraded. So we actually had the company come out. So we got a little intense about it, but it's not good, not just good for this, but when I'm doing my other work too, it's helpful to not, I used to have to wait hours to do some things just because the internet quality wasn't so good, and now it's so much better, which is really great. Okay, sorry, I get a little stuck talking about things sometimes. So that's really nice to chat about. Sorry, I'm just looking through. I also forgot my glasses. So this is the same thing happened last time. I'll have to make a note for next time, which is to bring my reading glasses so I can read your comments a little bit easier. Let's see. Scott, you're casting on a lacework bookmark for your mom. Never made anything this intricate. So I wish you very good luck. Yeah, lacework, especially. I'm assuming it's going to be like lace weight or at least fingering, if not lace weight. It is. Rest your hands regularly. That's all I can recommend to make sure you're not injuring yourself too much. And Erin, you're there for your daughter. They fit well but look terrible. Oh. I'm glad she loves them anyway. And you're going to cast on your first pair for yourself later today. That's really fun. Oh, Vinny, you're working on a new shawl on your lunch, and you're coming here on your lunch break. Hello. And yes, yay for progress. I agree, Roxanne. That's so funny. It's fun to work on progress. And Celtic Goddess, morning, you're working on a 1940s dress for a friend. Oh, that sounds really, I did do, I guess, a 1950s dress on my knitting machine, but there's a few dresses from the 40s and 50s that I really want to knit that aren't as well suited for my knitting machines because I can only go 200 stitches wide and I need to be at like 400 plus stitches for those. So I guess I could break it up into panels, but yeah, it's always a balance because I do really love hand knitting. And I'm both a process and a product knitter. So I both really enjoy the process of knitting, and I also really enjoy what I have at the end of it. And the problem is, as I've probably mentioned way too many times now, is that I have like strain, repetitive use injuries on my like hands and wrists. And so I have to kind of budget what I decide to hand knit. So far I haven't been able to budget for a 1940s or 50s dress by hand yet. The Bluebird of Happiness is a free knitting pattern by Sarah Elizabeth Kellner. I fill them with some combing excess and dried lavender. Oh, that is a good idea. I'm getting ideas for my Hexie Puff blanket to add maybe some lavender in there, because that's also the really exciting thing is I think a bigger project I'm going to work on next is going to be on the Hexie Puffs blanket, which I've gotten so much wonderful mail from everyone. I'm so touched. Like, it's amazing what's happening. It's really cool. Verity, you're working on an amigurumi based on a character in a play I saw on Friday. That's so fun. Are you designing that yourself, or are you like working on a pattern and you're modifying it to go? That's really cool. Mel's, you finally frogged 2 colorwork sweaters that have been hanging over me for years. That is a big step to take. It's hard when you know that you've put in that much work and you just are having a hard time letting it go. Oh, sorry, my chat just jumped again. I'm just going to go with what I can see. Here we go. Roxanne says, I've practiced live streams with either an unlisted or private stream before with my husband on his computer checking everything is okay. It's still intimidating. That is another good point. Yeah, you can do an unlisted one and then send the link to, or private, and then share it with a particular person who can check. That is a very good idea to do it that way. I probably should have done that first, but I was too excited to jump in. But it helps it be a little less scary of just jumping straight in. Oh, and of course, the second we say that, there goes the video. And I'm not sure why. Hold on. That's really funny timing, I have to say. That is really funny. Oh, let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay, the camera's back. It knew. My camera knew. It just has comedic timing. Decided to disconnect. Well, the problem is it's a little Frankenstein. I have like a cable to a splitter to another cable to an adapter, and it's also connected by an adapter. So it's the connection's not the most secure, but it's holding on for now, thank goodness. What else do we have going on? Soda Lime Princess, the toddler's asleep, time for more weaving. That sounds really cool. Spindle Tree Studio, I used to live in Shetland. It's very remote and 10 cheap for every person. Shetland is one of my bucket list places that I really want to visit so badly. You finished 6 rabbits for Easter, all done. Oh, nice. That's awesome. And cleaning out the last of my stash. I have hand-spun natural cotton skeins I've had for centuries, so at long last, we'll be knitting a chunky vest from it, starting the tension swatch tomorrow. That's awesome, Erica. It feels nice to be progressing through some of your stuff. Louise, hi, how are you? I'm good. I'm very sleepy. I didn't sleep very well last night, so that's why I'm still in my pajamas. I'm kind of chilling with my coffee. I do have my project in my lap. I should probably start knitting on that in a second, but I need a few more sips of my coffee, I think. I had so much fun the last live. I thought you handled it great. Oh, thank you. Brisket and ribs, even with all the mishaps. That's so funny. Let's see what else do we have. Erin, I'm glad everyone was saying that it was kind of fun. And Sand Experiment, did you get many hexapuffs? Yes, I did. I haven't counted yet fully because I want to open them all together. But I currently have like a bin full of letters from all. It is so cool from where they've all come from. And I definitely don't take it for granted that I'm getting that kind of support and help from everyone to finish my own blanket. Like this is one of the coolest parts of it, is connecting like live this way and with people who are able to send me things. It's really cool. Sleep deprived. The only issues I had with the stream are ads playing. I missed part of the conversation. Oh, that is a good point. I have YouTube set for the ads. I could potentially, I'll look into that in a second. I might take a break in a little bit because the other problem that I also did last time is I need to take more regular water breaks because my throat was actually a little bit sore last time, so I need to remember to drink a little bit more water, and then I can maybe check on it then. Sarah, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and at least there wasn't a cat filter over your face you couldn't remove. That was a classic video. I like that. Louise, hello. Oh, greetings from Germany. Hello. Willkommen. Celtic Goddess. Oh, you're sewing a 1949 dress. Oh, sorry. I completely misunderstood, but that is still really cool. I love that silhouette. That sounds really nice. And blue elf with wings, I think. Hello from Germany. I'm frocking socks so I can reknit them into the fitting size. Whenever I knit something that doesn't fit me or the person is intending it for, I tend to not reknit it. I tend to just gift it to someone who it does fit and then start over again because I just have such a hard time sometimes with frogging something. It's not easy. And what am I currently working on? Yeah. Okay, you know what? I've been chatting and I keep saying I need to drink some more, so let me take a few sips of coffee. And then I can work on my terrazzo slip over. Also, I think my microphone is so good it's picking up my drinking. I'm so sorry. I don't know if anyone has any problems with those like mouth sounds. Misphonia. Okay, so I am working on the terrazzo slipover from Petite Knits. I don't often work on modern patterns. I started this 3 or 4 years ago, and I made it for an event and I didn't finish it in time, so it got put into timeout. And I knit the entire body and some of the collar, and that's where I left it. So last time I was working on the collar, and I finished the collar last night because it finished with an Italian bind off, and I knew that I just didn't have the ability to focus on doing an Italian bind off at the same time as chatting with you all. So I did that last night, and now I am working on one sleeve. So this, armhole, I guess it's not really a sleeve. It's just the ribbing around the armhole. And that's another Italian cast off. So if I don't know how far I'll get today, but depending on how far we get, I might have to leave that for later. And then I have to do the other armhole at some point and weave in all of these ends. There's so many ends. Okay, so I'm going to start knitting. If I can get and the yarn. I don't know if anyone is curious or interested in the yarn that I'm using. The chunkier one is City Tweed from Aran Weight. Oh, God. Oh, sorry. The camera's over here. Oh, and the focus is not good. And it's in color Jacquard, I think. It's a 55 merino wool, 25 alpaca, 20% Donegal tweed. So it is warm and heavy, but I like it. It's very cold here. We live in the mountains, in the Mountain West, so it's nice to have the warmth. And then I'm holding it together with a loft from Knit Picks in the color Labyrinth. Yeah, it's interesting to look over my projects because I love blues and greens so much. So it's kind of funny to see some of them around me and they're all like green or blue. But I have my favorites. What else do we have? Okay. Erin, my knitting plan for the year: knit bulky scarf and hat set for daughter. She loved them. Oh, that's nice. I'm glad. Learn to make socks by making her socks. Make your own socks. Then I'm making a sweater. It sounds like that is a fantastic progression to work through. I am the kind of person who, when I pick up something new and I'm like, I want to learn, for example, I want to learn how to do netting because I want to net myself a pair of like intricate Victorian gloves. Someone might say like, maybe begin with an easy square and progress your way to what you want to do so that you're happy with the end product. I just tend to jump straight in with the difficult thing, which probably leads to a little bit more frustration. But so I admire that you're actually like working up to what you want to work on, and it's probably a better recipe for enjoying what you make along the way. But yeah, that's really fun. Good to know about lives. I'll have to look up doing an unlisted one. Yes, that is a really good tip from Roxanne. Dr. Raz, oh, I am. I cannot believe that I'm so close to 100K. Thank you so much. It's absolutely wild to me that I am here. I started this because I had a hard time finding community of people who were interested in the same things as me. And to be at the point where it's now my life, like my full-time work, is the craziest dream come true in the world. I am so happy, and I can't talk about it too more because I'm literally tearing up. So thank you so much. Mel's, you're finally ready to bind off your woolen tank top. Yay! Congrats. That's amazing. Christina Viek takes water breaks when she sees a YouTube ad come up during a live. You're looking while at work. Okay, I should probably have a different screen open. That is a good point. If I see that happen, I should probably take advantage of that as well and make sure that I'm staying hydrated. Thank you so much, Bryony. Also, I'm so sorry if I don't get everyone's names very right. I'm going to try my best, but I'm not always the best. And again, I forgot my reading glasses, so. Rebecca, you're hoping to finish the sweater for your son by the end of the month. I've completed the sleeves and the back, and you're halfway done with the front. That sounds like really good progress. So you've done sleeves and back, and you're halfway down the front. So I don't know how many days we have a few days left. I don't know. Hopefully we can get our things, at least one thing done. Autumn Fox, I just bought a pattern for a 1930s lace evening gown for your vow renewal in a few years. That's so nice, but your Trello board of to-do knitting is already huge. How do you prioritize your knits? Oh, that is a good question. I like the idea of a Trello board for your knits. It's a nice way to stay organized and like where everything is in your progress and things. So for me, it's interesting because I have knits that I work on for the channel, and I have knits that I want to work on personally and other projects, of course. A lot of times the things that I want to work on personally and for the channel overlap, but there are some things that might not be as relevant for the channel. Now that it's still like everything that I do for engineering knits is what I want to be doing, but I now, because it is my full-time job, have to think a little bit more about what might be more enjoyable to everyone else as well. So that definitely plays into the priorities more than it ever did in the past. Not that it's a bad thing. It just is a different, like it's an extra dimension I have to consider now. I guess I don't have to, but because it is my job, it's probably a good idea too. For my personal stuff, it's tough. I literally couldn't sleep last night, and so I came here to my reading chair. And you can't see it, and it's hard for me to angle the camera, but I literally took out every single magazine in the bookshelf next to me and looked through it to pinpoint new patterns that I want to be working on right now. Even though I have so many I've already not worked on. So I don't find it super easy to prioritize knits. Something that I do try to do though is I think it's a great idea to think ahead. And for me, it's trying to time the finishing of my projects to when I can enjoy and wear them. So that's why I really would like to finish this sweater vest, because we are going to be coming into spring season soon. Again, I live in the Mountain West, so our last frost date, like I'm also planning for my garden right now, so I'm looking at last frost dates. Our last frost dates are in June, so we still have quite a bit of cold weather ahead of us, but because it's alpaca and because it's so thick and warm, there, you know, it comes sooner that I won't be able to wear this. So I want to finish this so that I can wear it. So I have other in progress knits that would be nice to finish, like my mystery knit, but that's more of a lacy sweater that is a little bit more appropriate towards springtime rather than now. So that's another way that I prioritize it. Sometimes though, I don't follow any of that. I just say, what do I just feel like holding in my hands? What yarn do I want to feel right now? That's how I prioritize it. I don't really have a very good system, to be honest, beyond that. So that's kind of funny to think of that way. We just came back up. By FYI, it's pronounced more like Donegal. I'm Irish and a bit... Okay, got it. Thank you so much, the Woolly Bat. I have... Yeah, my pronunciation is not the best of things, and I appreciate when people correct me. So thank you. Donegal. I hope that is a little bit better, but I'll look that up afterwards and make sure that I get that better in the future. The sweater I'm just finishing is a dark turquoise with a silver gray Fair Isle snowflake designed around the yoke. That sounds beautiful, Erica. You just have to do the bottom cast off with the Italian. I really like the result of the Italian cast off, but it is definitely, at least for me, it is not a mindless cast off technique. I really have to be focusing and paying attention for all of that. So, but yeah, it takes so long. It's very true. Thank you so much, Dr. Az. That's really, really kind. Brisket and Riz, I'm the same way with jumping in on complicated projects. You end up with some quite ugly FOs along the way, but you learn a ton quite quickly. Yeah, that's very true. And I feel like it also helps with I do have a tendency to perfectionism. And so if I jump in on something that's complicated and I know it's my first project and I know it's not going to be good, I have a little bit more like grace and understanding for myself, if that makes sense. And I don't know. It's easier for whatever reason, for me personally, to just jump in on the complicated stuff. Emerwin, this stream, is what I needed to sit down and sew in the second sleeve into my cardigan so I can finish knitting the belt for it with whatever is left and finally have it finished after 3 years. Yes. Nice. Let's work on sleeves / armhole things. That sounds perfect. So true. My very first project was a garment, and does it look terrible? Yes. Did I learn how to knit super fast? Yes. Ashley, yeah, exactly. I also have saved my first ever sweater. I mean, it wasn't the first thing I did. I did a lot of scarves when I was young, but like the first real project that I followed a pattern on was a pretty complicated cable knit sweater, and it's not the best, but I still love it. And I learned a lot from doing it. It was like the second sweater with everything I learned was exactly what I wanted to be, if that makes sense. So I don't know. I like that method, but it's not for everyone. Erin, you would love to start a channel on knitting, crochet, and quilting. I love quilting so much. The editing feels so daunting. Yes, it's not easy. I will say, I don't think I'm a very good editor, but I feel like the learning curve can be pretty tough, and I feel like I was a little bit lucky because, and why I'm so lucky to be able to do this now, is that video making and editing has actually been a hobby of mine since I was 8 years old. I remember that very specifically because I created a GeoCities website for video editing services, because that's what I did in my free time, was edit my family videos for fun. So I have been working in like the Adobe suite of editing for over 20 years. Doesn't make me very good because I never did it very like consistently or professionally, but I've always had fun doing it, so I had a bit of a leg up there. But it's definitely a learning curve, although there are easier programs that aren't quite so daunting for the first attempt. Ashley, I love the look of knit lace, but the process of knitting lace frustrates me to no end. It's a bit slower. Sometimes you can get in a rhythm, but it really depends on the lace pattern and what you're doing. It's not the easiest. Christine, you're at work, so knitting will have to wait until I take a break. Oh, I hope your break comes soon so you can work on some projects. Sodaline Princess, you finished the first set of tea towels. Nice! I got to the library today and was able to find one book on rigid head wheel weaving, another on spinning. That sounds awesome. I was going through my bookcase last night when I couldn't sleep, and I was looking at some of my weaving books. I have my, I'm part of a spinning and weaving guild, and they have a meeting today in the evening. And I really want to go because they have these really cool presentations and then like chats afterwards, but it goes until about 8 p.m. and it's almost an hour drive for me. And because I slept so terribly, I don't think I can drive home safely, unfortunately. So darn it. But they have it monthly, so maybe I could go next month. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked. I was just thinking about that meeting today. Maybe that's also why I wanted to do the live stream today, because I wanted to have a little bit more. Well, I didn't know that I would have such a terrible night's sleep, but I am glad that I'm having this chat with people today because I don't know that I'll be able to make it to my guild meeting today. I'm starting a scarf using the yarn and needles that came learning kit I got that showed me knit and purl stitch. Now feeling confident in northern pattern, and that's amazing. I'm the 30-something. I love that you learned the knit purl, that's what you need, and now you're knitting what you want to knit. I really enjoy that. Erin, you just start, you'll be terrible at first, but you won't get better at the filming and knitting until you practice, just like with your craft. I very much agree, Roxanne. If you want to start, 100% recommend starting. I love watching other crafters, and it's really fun to see not only the process and progress of what they're doing, but the craft of video making and editing, because it is another craft to learn and to work on, which is kind of fun. Oh, someone just got an ad. I have to take a drink. Okay, let me switch to water. It's probably a good idea to have that. I realize I can't actually see when you guys get ads. I'm so sorry. I'll have to see if I maybe in the stream settings. I'll take a look in a second. But also some of you are saying, because it's my full-time job, we'll see. But I took a drink of water, so thank you for letting me know. And yay, the woolly bat. Okay, I'm glad I got the Donegal pronunciation a little bit better. I also, when I was in Scotland, I had some trouble with some pronunciations, but it's fun. It's fun to learn new ones. Lynn, I'm trying to find a stash budgeting blanket and the second of 4 sweaters for my daughters and nieces. Why did I agree to this? But I'm excited to get back to your own sweaters. I'm hoping that your daughters and nieces are smaller than adult sized so that it'll go a little bit faster. That's what I always thought about, like when I was knitting for my nephew, is I knit him so many sweaters, but it was so much faster because they were baby sized, which was nice. But I hope you find a good pattern, and I wish you swift knitting on the rest of the sweaters to get through. Michelle, at this point I could do an Italian cast off in your sleep. Oh, I wish. I still have to watch videos to make sure I'm doing it right. And hi, Flo, that's fun. Lena, you're teaching your neighbor's 9-year-old boy to knit, that's so fun. We started with a swatch on Saturday, and tonight he's almost finishing with the ribbing of his first hat. That is incredible. What a learning curve. That's fantastic. Hope you enjoy your lunch, Celtic Goddess. And the woolly bat, I had my next several knitting projects queued up, but had a new idea that's just seized me, and now I need to make it ASAP. Appropriate to the name, it's a pullover with bats around the yoke. It's literally calling to you. You have to work on that. I fully understand it. There's been so many times where I'm in the middle of something and I drop it because I find something new that I just have to work on. Green Bean, you finished your very first sweater for Finish It February. That's amazing. I love seeing people finish their first like sweaters or socks, or I think that's amazing, especially as part of Finish It February. It just feels like a lovely community to be a part of, to do this. Mel's, I've also saved my first sweater. The stitches are all twisted, completely misunderstood the stitch pattern, and it's horrible mystery acrylic yarn. But somehow it's like when I spun my first yarn, I was like, I don't know what in the world I'm supposed to do with this, but everyone said to save it, and I'm so glad that I did, because it is actually really nice to look back on. I don't know that I'll ever use it for anything, but it's amazing to see the progress too. Hello from Idaho. You inspired me to really start knitting. Oh, that's so fun. I made a sweater so far. That's so cool. I hope you enjoy the Moon cardigan pattern. That was a fun one to make, although I'm looking forward to making another sweater pattern with what I learned from designing my first one. In Shetland, we all learned to knit at school, even the boys. That's what my parents said too. Well, we grew up in Germany, but they all learned to knit. No matter, girls, boy, everyone knit. I think I mentioned it in the last live stream too. It was more of a practical thing that everyone knit for, so not everyone in my family has continued knitting, because some viewed it as a chore, because it was like the only way they could get socks and hats and scarves and things. But many of us have continued, and because we find it fun. Oh, Tiara, I hope that you enjoy that antique lace. You're trimming a bag with it. That's such a good idea. That's gonna sound that I love a little bit of lace trim. You know what was actually really cool is I love the antique laces, and I have knit so much of it. But again, I have a hard time knitting it by hand now. And I tried for the longest time to see if I could get the knitting machine to somehow be able to reproduce that lace, because I love the look of it. And with a Singer, I tried and I just couldn't find a way. But there's someone, now I have a Brother knitting machine, and the way the Brother knitting machine does lace is different. You have multiple passes to move stitches left and right. It doesn't only move it in one direction like the Singer machine does, which allows for a lot more options in lace making. And I found that someone else had actually taken the time to translate some, I don't know from what era, but they are very familiar. They look very similar to Victorian lace patterns, and turn them into punch cards for the Brother machine. And I have the USB of it, and I was hoping to learn from her to be able to recreate some of the ones that I really like that I've seen from the Victorian era for my knitting machine, so that I can start trimming things with lace again. I miss lace trimming. But that's cool. I hope that you enjoy that pattern. Sorry, I get sidetracked sometimes with, I have so many things I want to be doing. It's hard sometimes to choose. Lexi, you finished your latest project, about to cast on a sweater vest. Congrats on finishing. That's amazing. After a decade of knitting scarves, I'm now working on your first sweater. It's slow going, but so far I really like it. Back and one arm left to go. Congrats on your first sweater. That's awesome. Back and one arm. So that must be front. You're about halfway there, would be my guess, if you've done a front and one arm. That's great. Knit socks are so fun. I grew up watching my grandmother knit, and she taught me. We have a day next week for her to teach me to spin. Oh, that is really, really special. That's so special. I'm so happy that you get to have that connection. That's so lovely. I'm so glad. Oh, congrats, the woolly bat. I don't think I caught, like I said, I'm a little slow sometimes with the catching up on chat, but I see kind of the middle of our conversation where you got offered your master's place today. Congratulations, that's huge. And then the largest size sweater is a size 10, not too bad. The little one is only a size 3, and they're really fast crochet sweaters, so it's not okay. I'm glad that the sizes at least are a little smaller, so they go a little quicker. Hello, Rafaela. Okay, Roxanne, for Italian tubular bind off, pull the needle out of the stitches so the knits come forward and the pearls recede. then recapture on 2 parallel needles, then it's just have you done a video? I feel like you've done a video about that. Or is that what is coming back in my mind right now, Roxanne? Because that is genius. Oh my gosh, then it is literally just grafting, because then you put all the knit stitches on one needle and all the purl stitches on one needle, and that is, oh, I'm gonna have to do that for this, because that is so much easier. And by the way, I only need to knit 8 rows, so what row am I at? Let me just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm not even close. I have 3 more rows to go. Drew a drawing. I'm excited you caught the live stream. You're going to work on your first test knit while I listen. Oh, that's awesome. I hope you enjoy the test knit. Test knitters are so appreciated. They really are hugely appreciated in any of the knitting process. Carpsy in Sweden, we all learned to knit at school too. Yeah, that was just kind of a standard thing, I think, at the time, but I don't know if it's continued nowadays. I feel like it's kind of like in the US. I don't know if knitting was taught, but I have heard of like home economics classes, but I never took any where you could have learned like sewing or anything like that. That was phased out by the time I came to school here. Mel's, you only learned the knit stitch. I mean, it's a good start, but I guess you could make like garter stitch things. But yeah, it's helpful when you learn, purling as well. I'm prepping to go to teach my kids' class how to sew, maybe crochet and knit someday in the future. It's not part of the curriculum, but it's so important. I so agree, because I feel like it's a wonderful skill to have, and it's also really nice, like coordination task, hand-eye coordination, small movement, like dexterity things. That's great. Oh, your aunts were required to learn how to knit and crochet to sell, make money for the family. So when they heard I do it for fun, they were flabbergasted. Yeah, exactly. That was, my grandmother also like knit for income, and she actually like knit to save up to buy a knitting machine to be able to knit more, to make more, to hopefully help supplement the family income. And she did not knit for fun after that. I did knit with her quite a bit, but it wasn't, I don't think, a very fun activity that she saw. She saw it a little bit more as like work or a chore. My wonderful knitting life. I didn't realize this is your full-time job. How wonderful. I just do your podcast for fun. But I just started because so many people told you wouldn't be able to. I love that. Yeah, it didn't used to be my full-time job. I also worked as an engineer, which is why I call myself Engineering Knits. I don't know how relevant that name is anymore, but I got laid off, happily, might I add. I was very glad to, and I decided to just keep going with this full-time because it was actually at the point where I was able to keep going full-time. So that was really kind of wonderful timing, and really, I love it all over. And I love that you did something because people told you couldn't, just to prove them wrong. And I hope that it continues to be fun for you. Exactly, Lynn. I can't do it, can't I? Italian bind off is Kitchener or grafting stitch on one needles. Yeah, Verena, that's exactly that is such a good idea. Just like Roxanne said, makes so much sense. Hi from the UK. New to knitting on my second project. Long socks for your mom. I hope the project goes well. That sounds amazing. Hi, Jens. Your 15-year college reunion is this summer, and your goal is to attend wearing an entirely handmade wardrobe. That's so cool. You have until mid-June to finish 3 days worth of clothes. That's kind of incredible. Oh, my video cuts out every once in a while. I'm not exactly sure why. I'm going to take this as a moment to drink some water while I attempt to reconnect my camera. Sorry about that. I think it might be the cable that's giving out on me a little bit. We'll have to see. Oh, now we're doing ASMR tech time. Which is always kind of a fun. I do think the cable. Oh, there we are. We've come back. Oh, that's kind of funny. Oh, the camera came back sooner than I realized. I was trying to look at the screen. That's kind of funny. I can see my own playback in that. But anyway, sorry. You're knitting since November. You just learned because you want to make socks for yourself, and it seems so daunting for you. You've made a few pair of socks and a very ugly, but I'm sure a very lovely jumper. I'm so glad, Hannah. Hi, Knitting Lulu. It's okay to be late. You can jump in or jump out however you want. You just finished a project, cotton tank top for the summer, and you can't decide to work on next. Congrats on finishing a project, though. That's huge, and you're way ahead of me. I'm still working on my winter knits. I need to start on some summer knits soon. Roxanne, your sister-in-law learned knitting in home ec, but my home ec was sewing and cooking. Oh, that's interesting. So I'm sure that every areas or regions home ec classes were also different. I also did most of my elementary, middle, and high school in Florida, where I don't think knitting is quite as popular because I think knitting is sometimes more associated with colder climates. So even if we would have had home ec, I'm not sure that we would have done any knitting either. I'm glad you can join. And Erin, what knitting style do you use? My family all seems to use continental combination, which is passed down. I do the exact same. I do continental combination knitting, which makes it hard sometimes to read some patterns or follow some instructions because it's, they talk about through the back loop or the front leg or the back leg, and my stitches don't line up, which I'm sure you have experienced as well. Van Helsing's legacy, that's great. I used to knit, but only knit. I could never get my hands to do purl, so I switched to crochet and never looked back. I love that. I mean, work on what works for you and what makes sense to you. You learned to knit from a book as a kid, to Caleb. That's amazing, but you forgot how to purl in adulthood. That's so fun. Now you can knit back and forth in any stitch. Oh my gosh, I tried doing that for a bit and it required a lot of concentration. That's cool that you picked it up like that. Tin Ticket, had they tried to teach us knitting in school, I would have hated it, but now you're late 30s, you're like, woo, knitting, yeah. Yeah, that's funny. I feel like if you learned it earlier, it might feel a little less fun and a little bit more chore-like, potentially. Jens, you mostly crochet now, even though you learned to knit first. Yeah, my mom was a prolific knitter, and she knit so many things. I have a lot of her knitwear, actually. But now she mostly crochets. She can knit, but she just prefers to crochet now. So yeah, she's an amazing crocheter. It's really great to see her projects and what she works on. When we learned to knit at school, it was Fair Isle, and it was in the early 90s. Never learned it in any other school, only that one. Wow. That's really cool. Salina, you went to school in Germany in the 99s, 2000s. You learned knitting, crocheting, and sewing. We also had woodworking and a welding class. Wow, you could do so much. I like it. That sounds pretty well-rounded. You're teaching craft for primary school in Switzerland. We do all kinds of crafts from textile to technical, everything. That sounds really cool. Love to knit. I like that. You can crochet with both hands, Bun Helsings. That's really cool. Yeah, being able to work and go at your own pace is really nice, really bad, especially when you don't feel the pressure of being made to keep up with everyone else. It's a lot more fun, I feel like. Sebastian, I think a lot about how Gwen could Mathman could knit a sweater in under 7. I know, it's incredible. There is a video on YouTube where a wonderful woman analyzed, I think frame by frame, the knitting speed of I think a 40s or 50s video from somewhere in the UK. I forget exactly where. And it was, the stitches per minute were insane. Like, I am so impressed at their knitting speed. It's almost as fast as my knitting machine. And they're doing that by hand. Your mom taught you to crochet about 7 or 8 years old and knit about 10. That would be 40 6 years ago, obsessed since. Yeah, I was about the same. I learned to knit from my mom and grandmothers when I was around that age. And I did it here and there, and then really jumped in when I was in my teens. I loved it. Knitting socks for the first time, Emily. Have 3 completed socks on Magic Loop, but struggling with tension and Kitchener/bind off. Any tips and tricks? Maybe someone else who does the Magic Loop, or maybe you've already had some advice from people in the chat that I haven't seen yet, but I find personally Magic Loop difficult to do, so that's why I tend to knit my socks on DPNs. Some people find that they get laddering and tension issues because of that, but I find it easier to work with a tension than with the Magic Loop. With the Kitchener/the bind off, I knit very tight when I first started knitting socks, so I had to use a very, very loose cast off method. I think it's like Jenny's Magic cast off method. Can also highly recommend all of Roxanne Richardson's videos, who is the person who hosts Finish It February. She goes into a lot of details about like knitting socks, fitting them, binding off, the techniques of tension and things like that. I really can highly recommend. Hello, Virginie. Hello from Montreal, working on a mohair cloud cardigan. 3rd knitting project starting in knitting, but been crocheting for years. Oh, that sounds really, the mohair cloud cardigan, that sounds so cozy. You've been knitting Irish cottage style in your honeycomb Aran sweater. I'm trying to do it with the most traditional methods possible. Straight needles, 4-ply wool. It's been so much fun. That is amazing. Also, I'm so sorry. Juji Bell, there we go. Again, I don't have my glasses on, so sometimes I can't read some names as clearly. Sorry about that. But that sounds amazing. The Huckleberry. You're working on a test knit, hoping to get it done by end of Feb. Your 5th sweater, but the first one made for me. That's exciting that you have your first sweater that you're making for yourself. And again, test knitting is so helpful. So it's amazing that you're helping out like that. And then Meg Eats Dirt. That's a great name. Is there a link to the sweater you're working on? I'm so glad that you like it. I will link it in the video afterwards, maybe. If you want to look it up really quickly, it's the Terrazzo Slipover by Petite Knits. So it's a Petite Knits sweater, and I'm working on the armhole. Sorry, it's sideways. Here we go. There it is. But I'm glad you like it. Thank you so much. I will try my best to remember to link it in the video after I post it. And Autumn Fox, you learned, wow, you were 5. That's amazing. And she taught you to knit back and forth instead of turning the work. That's so cool. You were confused. I'm sure that was incredibly confusing to try to learn knitting patterns that turned, if you knew like mirror knitting or knitting back and forth. Yes, Mel's, thank you. It's the Petite Knits Terrazzo Slipover. Deborah, that's really cool that you picked like a major in high school. You chose home arts. That's really neat that you were able to do that. Oh, my chat just jumped again. I'm sorry if I missed some messages. Sometimes the chat jumps for me. Samantha, you're crocheting some shirts for yourself with size 3 cotton thread. That sounds perfect for like spring and summertime for warmer weather. That's really cool that you went to spinning. So like you tried to do knitting Drew and ended up spinning, and that's why you went to relearn to knit, crochet, and weave. I like that. Because for me it was the other way, where I wanted to learn how to spin because I knit and crochet and weave, which is really cool. Lynn, mostly crochet. I feel like at least I can't tell for sure, but I have this like feeling that crocheting is definitely, all kinds of crafts are going through a huge revival, which is really fun to see, but I feel like crochet is really kicked off, which I think is great. It's really fascinating to see that. And I love, again, I'm a bit of a history nerd, so for me crochet is really interesting to see the history of, because it's one of the more like relatively newer forms of crafting, and we have a little bit more documentation around the start of it, so that it's a cool one to look into. Angela, I started out a crocheter. Knitting feels so awkward to me. I can't tell if I've left off on a knit stitch or a purl one once I put it up. So I gave up on knitting. Oh yeah, learning how to read your knitting and to read what you've done is a huge step that helps in being able to pick up and put down projects. You might have heard it before. I don't know if it also felt awkward because you were doing continental style knitting. I've heard it mentioned before that if you crochet first and then try to learn how to knit if you did throwing style or English style, continental can sometimes feel a little bit more familiar because that's similar to how you hold the tension in crocheting. There you go. To Kayla, someday you want to make sock yarn sweater someday. Oh my gosh, yeah, sock yarn sweater, that would be amazing. I actually want to do a scrappy project as well because I have still so many scrappy ends, but again, yeah, that's a someday project. Oh, thank you so much for joining, Woolly Bat. I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much. And Dr. Raz, thank you for inspiring me to focus on finding community and sharing your own creations. Huge inspiration. Thank you. That's amazing. I'm so glad. It is, you're a nerd of stats that I love. Data is, so actually I worked as a data engineer for many years and I love data. I love statistics. I love all that kind of stuff. So I feel you on that. That sounds really cool. And I hope that you are finding that community and are enjoying sharing that on YouTube. That's really, really cool. Lexi, you learned to knit in school. Your teacher owned sheep and alpacas, so you also processed a fleece. Well, that's so cool. Erin, your daughter wants to learn to knit, and you told her she has to learn to read first. She's only 3. That's so sweet. And then Sarah, have you come across any historical documentation regarding regarding repetitive use injuries for those who knit so quickly and so often? We hear about a lot these days, but we knit way less than, you know what, I have not, and it's one of the things that I wonder about because, like you said, they knit so much more. Were they just, like, why is it that I hear also so much more about it? Was it ignored? Or was there something different about how they knit that meant that it wasn't as prone to injury? I don't know. That is a really good question. I would love to know as well. Lynn, you started teaching your daughter to knit around 4. She didn't pick up anything until 6.5. That is incredible. That you're even able to teach them that young. I'm amazing. Sorry, it's amazing to me. Oh, words. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I'm reading. It's fun to see the conversations as well between you all, where you're talking about when your children have learned to knit and what age and how they're picking up. That's really cool. Drew, you were an odd one out in your spinning guild, but so many of the members encouraged me and you decided to relearn knitting. That's so cool. You made your first hand spun hand knit last year and it was amazing. I'm so glad it's when you have that community in those groups, it's really wonderful to have that encouragement and potential help as well. I have a question. Where do you get your vintage patterns from? Because I have mine from Antique Pattern Library, and the 172 pattern I downloaded are mostly from the 20s and 30s. Yeah, Antique Pattern Library is a great one, so that I go there a lot for the antique ones for sure. For vintage ones, I do look at Etsy and eBay, but the reason I'm making that face is because I slept terribly last night. I really couldn't sleep. And so I decided to get up and go through all of my vintage knitting magazines in my bookshelf that is right next to me. Sorry, I can't turn the camera very well, but I took everything. It's literally in a stack it's just below the frame of the camera from the ground up here. I have a lot of vintage magazines. So you can get digital downloads on Etsy and eBay, which I have done a little bit of, but I prefer physical copies because there's a little bit more information at the front and ends of vintage knitting books that I like to look at, and I like to look at collections and like patterns in the context of the books themselves. So that's where I tend to buy like lots of vintage knitting books online. Sometimes they can be a little bit pricey, but other times I've been really lucky to get like 10 or 20 of them for under $30 in total. And yeah, I feel really lucky when I'm able to get those lots. Sometimes it comes with some that I'm not as interested in, but it's still good to have, especially for me. I like having references for a lot of things. So, oh, I see ad break, drink your water. Thank you for the reminder. Thank you so much for joining, Erica. I hope you have a good evening as well. Mel's, I think you build up tolerance so you don't get pain. That could possibly be it. So if you knit from a young age and you knit consistently, maybe that means that you built up the supporting muscles and tendons and ligaments in your joints so that it isn't as painful than if you suddenly get really into it and then spend months knitting intricate lace for hours every day, which is what I did and probably wasn't the best thing to do. Oh, that's really fun, Jess, that you watch about code and knitting using knits and pearls. That's so cool. Yeah, I love the melding of fiber and engineering and knitting and math and technology. I think it's so cool. Yeah, Ben Helsing's legacy, I think that is very true. Like if you learn things in early childhood and you continue them, that you can be, maybe you have the right supporting structure to not have it be so difficult if you do it later on. Oh, Scott Smith, charity shops can be good for finding vintage knitting patterns. I know Claude from Retro Claude, she finds a lot of her vintage knitting booklets in charity shops around her. I don't have as much luck here wherever I've lived in the US, and I've lived down south, East Coast, New England, West Coast, Mountain West. I have not had any luck, but I've heard from Claude that she was able to find a lot in the UK. Not a lot, but at least some. Mel's, but a bunch of grandma's friends were prolific knitters all the lives and now can't at all. Their hands are just done. Well, that's hard. Yeah, I feel like it's such a delicate balance when you use things so much. Brisket and ribs, that's a good point, that all the time we spend on computers when we're not knitting contributes to the hand and wrist injuries. That is very true. I do spend a lot of time at my computer, and I have a ton. So, and yeah, that is true, Erin. And because of phone use as well, we're using them so much. And I was a software engineer for like years, so that's all I spent my time doing on a computer. Sorry, just have to clear my throat a little bit. There was just a documentary on Pioneer PBS called Knit with Love. It was really good. That was recommended to me, and I put it on my to watch list. I want to watch that. I'm glad you liked it. So I have like an endorsement I definitely want to watch. Oh, thank you for joining Loves to Knit. That's fun. I'm actually working on editing a video for my members that's going to come out in, I don't know if it's going to be today or tomorrow. Just talking about my garden starting. So thank you so much. That's true too, that it's possible just because of the difficulty of life in general that there was RSI and no one really cared. I think a lot of things probably, it would be interesting though to get documentation on that, or just see if there's any surviving evidence of any of that from history. Bonnie, you started learning fiber crafts as your disability affects your body shape, so finding clothes that fit is difficult. Now you try to make your own. That is amazing. I love that. So I know that Claude works a lot on altering patterns to fit. I also have it doesn't, well, it affects fit somewhat. I do have scoliosis, so it affects like my hip fit and my shoulder fit, but I don't have to, especially with knitting, it's a little bit more forgiving. But I'm a tall person, and most of my height is in my torso. So I love making my own things because it means that I can make tops that actually fit me and pants that actually reach where I want my pants to reach. So it is nice when you make your own things and you can put them on and they fit you how you want them to fit you and they're comfortable, which is nice. So that's great. And Lexi, welcome as well. Thank you so much. That's really fun. And Louise, you're currently crocheting your first vintage piece, a 1922 jumper from Olstein's Jumper. Oh, that's really cool. 1920s. I've done one 1920s jumper, and I want to do more because I think it's such a I want to, you know what I want to do? I want to do a 1920s like ski outfit. I think that would be I saw some really fun illustrations about those. I think that would be so fun. Spindle Tree Studio, are you based in the US? I am. So I've lived all over the US, and now I'm in the like Mountain West region. Jess, to help with RSI from rheumatoid arthritis, you forced yourself to learn to knit and crochet in different styles. I work different styles and different needles to mix it up a bit. Oh, that's a good idea. So you're not always just doing one particular style, but you change the movement slightly so that you're not repeating. That's a good idea, actually. You gave yourself tendonitis years ago from tatting, crocheting, and doing interface design all kind of at once. I still can't crochet with that. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's tough. It's sometimes, I don't know how it is for you, but sometimes for me, I just get so excited and into a new craft that I can't help myself almost. Oh, it's tough. Allison, you got most of the run of Women's Days in the 40s and 50s from an estate sale. Oh, that is a good point. Estate sales can be really good. I got a really good set of vintage knitting needles from an estate sale. I don't know how you find it, but when I lived in the New England area, the estate sales there were particularly good for knitting and sewing and crocheting and things. And I hope that it was appreciated that it went to someone who definitely was very excited to get it. That's a good idea, Deborah, to do some massages for RSI for your knitting community. It's good to stay on top of it. Louise, I'm very glad my first project is in German because I heard from Retro Claude that vintage patterns can be quite difficult to read. Yeah, especially if you're used to modern knitting patterns or modern pattern of any kind, vintage ones can be quite different. So it helps if it's in a language that you're most comfortable in to kind of read between the lines or be able to do a little bit more research in terms of what exactly a pattern is trying to get you to do. So that's good. Yeah, Lynn, the state sale auctions are really good. Definitely agree. Bun, you're kind of a giant repetitive strain injury, but as long as you're not hand sewing through anything too thick that grabs your needles, that it is a good idea to switch it up a lot. Yeah, that is true. Have a bunch of different types of and ways to knit. And Mel's, you're down to 2 winter whips. Amazing. Congrats. You can't work on either right now, so you get to cast on a mohair ranunculus. Ooh, that sounds beautiful. That's another one of those projects that has been on my list for a long time. Oh, and the chat just jumped really, really far. I'm so sorry if I miss any chats, but yeah. Let me know if there's anything you want me to see, and I missed it. I saw someone about Laura, you're glad to see promoting machine knitting. It's great for people with RSI. Yeah, that's why I switch a lot now to machine knitting, because it's so much easier on my hands. It is a workout sometimes in other ways, but it helps to switch it up, and it helps me be able to make some things and not find it. I have this like in very intense need to create things, and my mental health actually really suffers when I can't create. So finding ways to be creating, depending on how I'm doing, how my body is able to do, has been really helpful. So the machine knitting has been super helpful with that. Autumn Fox, I totally get needing to make clothing fits you correctly. I've been looking for adjustable patterns because my IBS makes my waist. Oh, I feel I have that as well. So I'm in the same category. And my next project I actually want to sew, it's been a while since I've sewed anything, is a adjustable skirt. And I recently bought myself a wrap tie skirt, and that was really nice to be able to adjust it because I wore it to a dinner, and it was really nice that I could change it based on like how I was doing. And the one I want to make is like the one that's based on like the historical skirts, where it's two, like one tie that you tie from the back to the front and front to the back. So I'm excited. Love that too. Hi, E. Mullen Streams. You're working on a hat design right now. You have a question. Do you have any recommended sources to find the history of certain knitting stitches? I'm trying to find when the daisy/star stitch was made. Ooh, that is tough. I don't know that I can give you exact recommended sources or anything. I guess what I would potentially do is I would start looking at online databases like archive.org and search through their books for when they have some references to that particular stitch. I would probably look at the Hathey Trust after I got an idea of when that was to see if I could find some magazines from like the Delineator or anything like that that mention those kind of stitches from around that time frame. I would also potentially search the Antique Pattern Library to see if anything is mentioned there, although it's harder to search. The text is a little bit tough to search, but that's kind of where I would start. I don't know if it's the ideal place. Maybe some other people have some other ideas. Oh, we have someone who finished sewing in the ends of the last glove. Took almost 3 hours for finishing. Wow, but congrats on finishing weaving the ends of the last glove. That's amazing. Brisket and ribs. Yes, it is needlepoint joint. That is the yarn shop in Ogden. I love that yarn shop. It's really big too. I have yet to take a class there, but I would like to. Spindle Tree Studio, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate that you stopped by. You had real trouble with German vintage tatting patterns. Oh my gosh, yeah, I've looked at some vintage tatting patterns, but only in English. I've never looked at any other language so far, so I'm curious to see what those would be like. I don't find the vintage tatting patterns to be super easy to interpret, but possible. So I'm curious what the German ones are like. I'm so sorry. I have to sneeze. If I do sneeze, I'm so sorry. I don't know if I will, though. Oh. Oh no, Lynn, I'm so sorry. You just finished the first round of edging on your blanket and realized that the yarn weight, it was making it too tight. Time to pull it out and decide if you want to try again or just end the blanket. Oh, I'm sorry that you have to redo it, but I hope it's not too much extra work and just to decide. Jess, that's so cool. You have a couple of sock machines and you've added a computer assist to your long arm. That is so cool. Make the juice worth a squeeze. I love that. Yeah. I have I've tried out some long armors at like some fiber shows and they seem so cool. I love quilts. We got a new neighbor in our town. It's a pretty small town, so it's always like everyone knows when there's someone new who moves here. And she is a prolific quilter, and it's really cool because every time she finishes a new quilt, she hangs it up outside of her house. It's like on the front porch, so you can see it from the road as you drive. Like we have a post office and a library and a gas station. That's like at our intersection, so that's where you go, and you have to drive by that house to see it. Anyway, I love it, and I sent her a letter to get in touch because I just wanted to let her know how much I really enjoy that. She did like it was a beautiful one with like a Highland cow, and she did some like abstract patterns, and she did some hearts for Valentine's Day. It's lovely. I love that so much. I love quilting. Sorry, I got a little off track. I love quilting. But I find it really hard to do the actual quilting part of it because I don't have a long armor. But maybe a service or getting a long armor. But again, I have too many things already. That would just be way over the top. Okay, hold on. Sorry, I have to join in some new yarn. I have to concentrate for 1 second, or else I'm going to completely lose my thread here of what I'm doing. Okay, there we go. We joined it in. Lexi, you finished casting. Oh, my camera went out again. Sorry. I didn't notice. I was concentrating too much on my cast on. You finished casting on the Twisted Argyle West when Hattie Townsend. This will require readjustment when you get to the shoulders, but that's not for a while. And the yarn was staring at me. Oh, that sounds beautiful. Twisted Argyle West. I'm going to have to look that up because I like the name of that. That sounds really nice. Ooh. Whoops. Sorry. Oh, there we go. Okay, the image is back, I think. Firelass, hello, all instructions for the month unclear, starting a new project now. Oops. That's okay. I think as long as we're all working on stuff, that's good. Jen, you're not finishing anything at the moment, but want to show. Oh, thank you so much. You like the dress I made in the knitting machine? Oh, thank you. I love that one. I have yarn to make more because I enjoyed it so much. Thank you. Felicia, your mental health also improves when you can create something. It's such a dopamine hit to make something. That's so true. Yeah, and it helps focus me a lot too when I'm doing something with my hands. Yeah, it helps my mind not wander as much too. Jess, oh, Mother Kale Kale was talking about knob binding. You've only tried it a couple times, but the history is one. Yeah, I agree. It's another one. I want to do that one. I might be Celtic Goddess. I might be talking about that particular. I'm not going to try to pronounce that name, unfortunately. I don't think I'm going to get it right, but I think that I'm talking about that particular skirt, and it might be kind of shooting very high, but I want to weave the fabric that I use for this skirt. So it might be a while before I can make that particular pattern. Carps, yeah, I agree. It's really hard not to give in and just cast on a new project and really focus on finish it February. Oh, Beth, you found a pattern with your granny's name. Oh, that's really lovely though. Jess, actually the long arm is part of your day job. Oh, that's so, you're part, sorry, I can't get my words out. That is really cool. You're a digital quilting and embroidery pattern designer. Because is that part of, there is kind of a local quilting shop that offers the long arming service, and you can like pick a design. And I love the designs that come with it, but sometimes for a particular quilt, I'm thinking about like following the lines of the pattern that I quilted. So I haven't yet used that service, but that is so cool. Oh, someone just got an ad. It means I have to drink. Okay, I'm going to drink some water. Yeah, sorry. The video cut out for a second. Also, there's a bit of a delay and lag between when I'm doing things and when it comes to you guys. So sometimes if it seems like I'm responding to things like really, really late, it's because of that delay. There is generally a bit of a lag / delay, and then I also turned on, I think, closed captioning, which adds an even longer delay. But I wanted you all please let me know if that is even working. But I wanted the option to for people if they wanted the closed captioning to have it, but it does add extra delay, so that's why it might seem that I'm a little bit longer behind on some of the comments and things. That's cool, Jess. You sometimes quilt as a service, but mostly just try out new designs you've made. So it has to be someone that lets me pick the pattern. Yeah, that is good though. the crafty camper. You just switched projects. You were using a 1.75 millimeter hook and now you're using a 4 millimeter and you feel like you're holding a tree branch. Oh my gosh, that must be such a difference when you go from something that's so petite or like so small to something so much big. Yeah, it's always such a switch, isn't it? Allie, I'd love to get back to the sewing, but the process of cutting fabric is so hard on your body, I might have to break it up across a week. But then I've got fabric all over the place. Yeah, that's so true. Do you, I forgot if you mentioned if you watch Retro Claude at all, but she also has some videos where she talks about like the different ways that she goes about cutting fabric so that it's not so hard on her. But you might have already seen that and know about all of those, but just wanted to mention it just in case. Controversial. I love making my own things. I wore my crocheted poncho yesterday to the grocery. I fixed the neckline so I could wear it until I got it done right. I want to make it a smaller neck or a turtleneck. Nice. It is really satisfying to wear what you make. And then especially when you wear it or you use it and you're like, actually, I would prefer something to be slightly different about it. And then you can actually do that slightly different thing. It's pretty cool. You haven't started nail binding yet, but I did carve my own needle this summer with some, wow, that's so cool, Soda Line Princess, that you carved your own needle with some, that'll be neat to be able to work on that. James, hi. Finished it, February's already off to a rough start when I saw that stuffed chicken and immediately went, this one? Oh, the emotional support chicken. She's wonderful. Very, very, very supportive. Can highly recommend. Ad breakwater drinking is my new favorite game. I like it too. It is very good, although it does mean that I'm probably going to have to do a bathroom break somewhat soon. I'm so glad, Lynn. I'm glad that they're working. It's, again, I need to find more ways, and probably Roxanne's suggestion of doing an unlisted one where someone else can test the settings for me would be good. But I'm glad that they're working. River, nice listening. You're working on a Gainsey. Was really fun to research and design. That is so cool. That's another like traditional sweater design piece, knitwear piece that I'd love to work on. Oh, the list just grows. Grace says, a Swede, you feel like it's a huge part of your heritage. You want to learn it for nail binding? Yeah. I think it's really cool when you work on projects that very much tie you back to your roots. I think I might have mentioned this last time, but when I was working on my spinning wheel and Evie from Jillian Eve helped me out with that, she sent me a video of like a spinning tradition in a particular region of Germany, and I was floored because it's my like heritage region. So it was really cool to see like basically what my great grandmothers would have been doing. Yeah, it's a really neat connection. Lynn, cutting is so much easier for me with a rotary cuttery and the mat that are up on the table. Yeah, that's so true. So Claude talks about that too. For me, I agree. For me particularly, I prefer a rotary cutter. Claude finds it more difficult, but she has like a spring-loaded scissors that, anyway, there's some options out there, but definitely. Oh, we got another. I might be behind on the ad breaks, but that's really cool, Jess, that when you go to a quilting service and they let you pick a designer, you go on the website to pick it could be one of yours. You're also many others, but it could be yours. That is really neat. Mel's, whenever you knit all day, I try to jump between 3 millimeters and 10 millimeters and various sizes in between. It's so funny how the needles go from feeling totally normal to tiny to massive. Yeah, I'm sure it takes some getting used to, although it's probably, like everyone was mentioning, it's probably a good idea to switch up the type of craft you're doing, the size of the needles, the way that you knit, so you're not doing too much of the same movement all at once. And you also are, Jess, you're the one that does a lot of the formatting for several designers. That is really helpful because the formatting, and to get it consistent, yeah, that's really, really helpful. Allie, you have watched Clad. Oh, you and her have the same, and you bought the spring-loaded size. Okay, I wonder if that helps, but oh, so the only problem is the only surface you have is the floor. So you have a rotocutter that you use for bias tape, but you don't have the grip strength for a bigger. Yeah, that is when you have to be a floor troll, that is tough. I do hope the spring-loaded scissors help, but it's probably not as, like, the fact that you're crouching and crawling is probably not so helpful overall, you know? Beth, ponchos are fantastic. I have several on there. So that is so true. One of my cape ponchos that I knit and I loved, I wore it all the time, got felted. I was so sad. I keep on wanting to work on a new one because I wore that all the time, but my to knit and crochet and sew and weave and spin list is so long. I don't know the next time I'll be able to get to it, so we'll have to see. Question, does Nutella ever come over and try to interrupt your crafting? One of my dogs doesn't understand why the yarn needs more attention than she does. She has times of the day where she's very energetic and active and times of the day where she loves to nap. So when she has her like energy time, so right now is actually one of her energy times, but my mom is on a hike with her, so she is getting her energy out that way. But if she were home, she would be jumping all over me right now because she would be like, it's time to do something. We got to do something. And she'd be like, this, but put that away. It's not time for crafting. But then she definitely has her times where she wants to just nap and sleep. And she loves curling up near me when I'm crafting. And I think her most recent like favorite thing has been my spinning wheel. She falls asleep immediately. I think it's very soothing to her. It's so sweet to watch. So yeah, it depends. If it's her like active, it's time to go time, she lets me know. And I can't craft. And I wouldn't want to either. I have a lot of fun entertaining her. And fireless, yeah, it is. I thought it was really cool to tie back to my heritage with the videos. It was kind of neat to see. Yeah. Yep, Lynn, I'm the same way. I have some surface areas that are large enough to cut like smaller fabric bits out of, but skirts and things, especially larger skirts, I'm always on the floor. I'm 100% floor gremlin, floor troll for that, which is not great for the posture or anything. Soda Lime Princess, the heddle has been slain, the warp is lashed now to wind a bobbin. Nice. Oh my gosh, the warping is, whew. I have a project on my floral loom right now that, well, it's not really a project. It's the end of the last project that I want to re-tie the warp onto to keep making more of the same tea towels, but I also want to weave a different shawl. And I technically have a table loom that I could use, but I really want to use the floor loom for that, but I don't want to take the warping. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm actually going to tie off, I saw this at a weaving manufacturer in Isla, and they store their heddles threaded with the frames. So I'm lucky enough that my floor loom has like 16 shafts, and I don't really need 16 for the patterns that I'm trying to do. I need 4 at most. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually tie it off and take those frames out of my loom and put new frames in, so that when I'm done with this next project, I can go back to the one that's currently on my loom and not have to rethread any heddles. Oh, that's cool. James, I need to do some reading on my own heritage. Most of my family is English, but there's a few from Scotland. It explained why I love Fair Isle knitting and Shetland wool, but I'd like to know more. Yeah, I think it's so cool when you can get some more information on your own heritage. I've been watching, I am the worst sometimes with names, and I was just watching her video last night, and I can't think of it, but she, I can't even remember like the heritage that she is recreating, but she does like some of her videos that have gotten big is like I ate like a Victorian like a week, or I ate like a medieval person for a week, and she has researched more of her heritage, and now she's doing like sewing and making costumes from her heritage. And I think it's amazing to connect through it like that. It's so cool. I was so excited when I saw that you got your Romney fleece from Mary Pratt. I used to live up the street from her and love watching the sheep in the field. That is so cool, because I bought that Romney fleece at New York Sheep and Wool Festival. And I cannot believe, that is really cool to have that connection. Hello, Chocolates and Pasta. Welcome back. Allie, you love the spring-loaded scissors. They've been a game changer. I'm so glad. Yeah, she's really, Claude's videos on how to craft and while you're disabled are so helpful. And they have amazing ideas, and I think it's fantastic how she shares them. So yeah, I'm so glad that they have been helpful and that you feel seen from those. And I agree. Oh, it is a really nice Celtic goddess when you feel that connection with your great grandma when you're making the Red Cross Lady Grey uniform for a friend. That is really wonderful. Fire Lass, you've been working on a 1940s blouse that uses fingering weight yarn and size 3 needles for the ribbing, and the new sweater uses size 8. Definitely taking some adjustment. Oh, that is a big switch. Genealogy nerd, that's fun, isn't it? I am, my family's super, super small, so I recently found like a third cousin who remembers places from the village that my grandparents are from, who's in the US. Is really cool to talk to him. It's really neat. More Nutella stories, Beth. I mean, she is a riot. So one of the things that we've been doing is we have been going to agility classes, and she is such a pro. She's amazing at agility. I wish I would have, well, the problem was I have looked for them in the past. I just never lived within like reasonable distance to one. And this one isn't even, like, I'm still driving over an hour to go to training, but I am so happy to do it because she is having so much fun and she's a natural, and it's, amazing to watch her like think about things. Actually, the biggest problem that we have is that she is so focused on me that we're trying to work on having her look at what her obstacles are so that she doesn't run into them. For example, like we were doing the tunnel, and instead of looking at the tunnel, she was looking at me and ended up, like, it's a very soft tunnel, so she was absolutely fine, and she was like walking slowly. She wasn't running. We're not at running yet. And she just kind of like kept on walking into the sides of the tunnel, and then she was jumping on top of the tunnel, and the trainer was like, I have never seen a dog do that before in my life. So she's been an absolute riot doing that, but she's been so good, and it has been so fun watching her. And you can, like I said, you can really see like the gears turning in her head when she's trying to learn things. And the funniest has been when she's jumping up on, it's very low like beams right now, just so that they get their balance and know to not try to jump off when it gets higher. And she's just so enthusiastic, and she has to put on the brakes, and she's literally like, it looks like a cartoon when she's sliding and like breaking across it. She's a riot. I could talk about her all day, but yeah. So fun. Carpsy, your cat thinks the spinning wheel is his worst enemy. The first time he decided to investigate it, he caught a fright. Oh, it's been 4 years. Oh, it's really hard. Yeah, when Nutella sometimes, she's a little bit cautious, a little bit nervous. So sometimes she needs like a very slow, calm introduction to new things. And including the spinning wheel, especially because she was very nervous about all the moving parts in the beginning. But now she just falls asleep right next to it. I think it's very calming to her, which is really nice. Your husband and I made a pegloom this weekend, and you finished your first bit of weaving on it. Oh, that's cool. I love when you can build your own like fiber crafting objects. I mean, also carving a needle and everything. Like, that's really, really neat. V. Birchwood, yes. I think that's the person, Firelast. Thank you. That's exactly the person I was thinking of. It's cool to watch that. I enjoy that. Mel's heritage stuff is always so boring to me. I'm like 100%. Norwegian is just loads and loads of farmers, although you're distantly related to the. I mean, that's something. Yeah, same. My family is just farmer and farmer and farmer, pastor, farmer, and a farmer. So I'm very similar. But it's cool to see like the linen and wool fiber crafting as a part of the farmers. So that's what I connect with personally. Yes, Emma1, thank you so much as well for V Birchwood. That's exactly the person. And Elijah Gaming, V Birchwood, and the Vulgar Tartar Heritage. Yes, that's. I thought it was Tartar, but I was like, I don't think it's just the Tartar. It's Vulgar Tartar. Exactly. That's it. Thank you. Oh, we got another ad. Hydration time. I love the discussion of heritage going on there too with Grace as well. That's fun. With family all living on the same small island. Yeah. Brisket and ribs. We need a video of Nutella at agility training. I'm so sad we won't get to see her today. Oh yeah, because she is hiking. They might be back. I don't think they're doing a very large round today. I was going to join, but I'm not doing so good today, unfortunately. But that's why I'm very lucky to be able to have my parents take her sometimes. But yeah, she is a riot to watch at agility training. A Nutella's Day in the Life vlog. Oh, that would be fun. That's really fun. Kim, you should look into trick training with Nutella. It's a lot of fun and uses up a lot of energy. Oh yeah. She loves it. We say that when we have a treat in our hands, she is incredibly food motivated, which makes her an absolute delight to train. But she is so excited to get the treat that she will run through the entire catalog of everything she knows. So it looks like she's breakdancing because she's like standing and then sitting and then up and then rolling over and then spinning in a circle and then rolling over again. You're just like, wait, I just want you to sit. Hold on. Then she's breakdancing everything. We also do, oh gosh, words are really failing me today, but it's like, it's herding, but with a ball. So a ball that doesn't pop, and we're working on having her like herd it into particular goals and like particular balls into particular areas. She loves that as well very much. We do that out here, but we live kind of on a hill, so there's been a few times where we've had to save some runaway balls. Oh, Allie, I'm so glad that you find the library comforting and inspiring. That's really, really lovely. Oh, that's so cool, Zen. You were looking for a recipe your grandmother sent you, and you found an email about an organ an ancestor of yours made that's still in a church in Germany. How cool would it be if you ever got to hear that one play? That's amazing. Allie, I will not buy a 3D printer. I will not. Oh my gosh, I know. The 3D printer it's been so hard not to have it printing 24/7. I definitely would. I'm just trying to minimize I get a lot of like waste, I guess, just from the purging and the supports and the prototyping. And I really want to set up a recycling stream because I feel like I have so much waste. So I'm trying to reduce how much I print and not just print all the time, but it's really hard. I want to print all the time. But I that's the other thing I want to look into is like how to recycle my printing scraps into new PLA that I can put into my 3D printer because it feels a little, I can't bring myself to throw all of that out, to be honest. Lynn, the channel is not discouraging the desire for a 3D printer. Oh my gosh, I know it is very tempting. I don't know if you've looked into it, you probably know, but a lot of libraries have maker spaces with 3D printers. Hello, Michelle. And Nora, good evening. Is there a pattern for the orange sweater you wear in your latest video? I'm so glad you liked it. A lot of people mentioned that they really love it. It's one of my favorite sweaters as well. The orange it's a much brighter color than I usually wear, so I don't wear it as often, but I'm glad so many people liked it. Unfortunately, sorry, long answer to that question, I don't have a pattern because it is actually an original vintage from, I guess, is the 60s. I have a lot of pattern books from the 60s with sweaters that are similar but not exact. I haven't found the exact one because what's unique about it, and you don't see it in that video, is that the back collar isn't rounded. It actually comes to a point in the back, which is one of my favorite things about that sweater. It's such a slight but impactful detail. It's one of the ones that I want to turn into a pattern at some point, eventually, hopefully. We'll have to see. Oh, James, your grandmother dyed the sheep pastels with vegetable dyes during flea treatment for the kids at Easter. That's so fun. Oh, a spinning wheel, Allie. Yeah, spinning wheel. They put Nutella on the breakdancing Olympic team. That's funny. Lynn, you already have I have, oh my gosh, I know. The moment I started spinning, my spinning wheel collection exploded. Oh, it's lovely to see you, Jess. Thank you so much for joining you. Have a lovely time. I hope the rest of your workday goes well. Sophie, you just finished the first piece of thread and attached 20 flowers, only 140 to go. Oh my gosh. Well, 20 flowers down, 140 to go. That's pretty good. I hope you keep going. Oh no. Drew, your family ran a bakery in their small town in Poland, and now you have celiac until World War II, and now you have celiac disease, so you think your heritage is that is unfortunate. Ooh, another ad break. Gotta take a drink. Thank you, Midge and the Crafty Camper. Oh yeah, the drop spindle. Oh, I still haven't got the hang of spinning on a drop spindle. I find the spinning wheel much easier personally, but ooh, that is interesting, James. Depending on what type of bed you have, some find they get better adhesion by mixing the scraps with acetone and brushing it on. That is yeah, because acetone kind of eats at the plastic, right? It's Zan. I'm sorry. I was saying your name is Zen again. I'm not wearing my glasses. I probably should have. If I ever get to Europe again, the ancestor organ, TM, is for sure on the list. It's so pretty. I was Googling it. Oh, that's really cool. I love listening to organs. It's I used to go to a lot of organ concerts when I was in Europe more often, and it was just incredible. There's a museum in San Francisco. Forget the name of it, of course. But what's really cool is that they have an organ in the museum that runs throughout the entire museum space. So they have live concerts, and where you are in the museum, you can hear the organ. I mean, there's one central location where you can hear it best, but it's just really cool to have the organ be literally piped through the entire space of I think it's like the Legion. It's something with an L. Museum. It's how I store my information in my brain is by first letters, but I don't always remember the entire word. Jess, there are filament extruders available for recycled 3D printer plastic. Yes, that is very true. I've looked into it. The more expensive bits, so I found some extruders that are okay in terms of price. I mean, more expensive than my 3D printer, but I'm willing to do it to reduce the waste. But in order to put the scraps back in, I have a hard time finding a shredding solution that is somewhat reasonable and will work well enough to make good enough quality PLA. I don't need it to make finished prints, but at least prototype prints to be able to make those would be really nice. And then Socks Girl, yes, your local public library just opened a makerspace last year with a 3D printer, a Cricut, and sewing machines. That's cool. Yeah, makerspaces are really great to learn some things and get your hands on some stuff. Lexi, there's a YouTube channel that recycles old 3D printed stuff. Can't remember the name. They participated in... Oh, I might have to look that up. RA, you've been gifted your grandmother's spindle for your engagement celebration. That's so cool. That's a lovely gift. Lexi. Oh, thank you. Brothers Make, the channel for 3D printers. I'm going to have to look into that. I don't think I came across that one when I was doing some preliminary research in 3D print plastic recycling. So thank you. Mel's, you invested in an eel wheel. Or EEL wheel? I call it an eel wheel. Is that the right way to say it? I don't know. You can spin as much as you want to now. Yeah, the electric wheels are nice. Oh, thank you, Socks Girl. That was when you saw the happy accident using my dyer's road to make the pink instead of the blue. I seem to do that a lot with dyes, especially natural dyes, but I agree. I really enjoyed making that. It was fascinating to learn about that even being a possibility. I'd never heard or seen of that before, so that was I'm glad you enjoyed that too. That was a really cool one. Lynn, yeah, the EEW. I think I have the Nano as well. I have one of them. I use it a lot for plying. It's really great. When I ply though, I don't know if it happens to you, but my bearings get really hot. I don't know if I need to lubricate that a little bit. Femke, is it cheating if I start a new project during this video instead of finish something, make something cute? Moomin socks. Oh, that's so cute. The Moomin socks sound really cute. I think you're okay. I think you're fine to start something new. It's nice to craft together, even if we're not all finishing something at the same time. Oh, video went out again. Oh no. Hold on. It seems to be, is it just me or is it like in regular intervals? I don't know. That's a little strange, but we'll have to see. Yeah, Moomin socks sound really, really cute. I'm so glad, Jubel, that you were able to learn knitting from YouTube. Teresa, will you plan on doing a live tomorrow as well? I can't tomorrow because that is when I do the training with Nutella, and I also have some doctor's appointments and things, so I don't have the time, but I'm hoping to do at least one more live. Do you guys have any? I should probably just do a poll about it, but if you have any thoughts on maybe like what day and or time, maybe more than once would be nice. It's just really nice to hang out with everyone, and it's a good incentive for me to actually do some work on my Finish It February. Nora, spinning is your new hyperfixation. You have a drop spindle, but you're dangerously close to buying a spinning wheel. It is. It's a really big investment. I got lucky in being able to find a reasonably priced one. Oh no, I lost my stitch marker for the marking of the beginning of the row. Sorry, I got a little distracted because I should probably count how many rows in I am. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Whoops. I'm at 9 rows. I was supposed to stop at 8. Oh well. I'll just have to match on the other side. I am almost done with this one, so I need to realize. Okay. Whoop, there we go. I get so carried away knitting and chatting with you all. Whoopsie daisy. Celtic Goddess. Is the museum the Laces Lace Museum? It's not. So the Laces Museum is in Oakland, and that one is also, I was able to go there, and they just have lace displayed from like 1,000 years ago in Colombia. It's amazing to see. But this one is in San Francisco itself, and it starts with an L. I can't remember. Unfortunately, the one with an organ in it. Cynthia, you made it. Welcome. That's so great. Beth, 1 inch of ribbing down, 2 more to go. Oh, but that is pretty good progress in the time. Another ad break. I'm going to drink a little bit more water. James, you've been wistfully staring at the Kromsky Minstrel or Symphony at your local yarn shop. Oh my gosh, yeah, the Kromsky, Minstrel is... So I got my wheel at an amazing price, and it's a Kromsky, but is it the Prelude? It's like a Saxony style wheel, which I do very much like, but if I could, I would definitely get the Minstrel. I love that one. Lynn, hot bearings is an issue for sure. Yes. Oh, your eel 6. is much better than the Nano. Yeah, okay, so I think I have the Nano, and I think my the piece that goes through the spindle and through the bearings, it's actually melted a little bit at where the bearings are because the bearings got that hot. Whoops. Sarah, finished. Rework the I-cord hem of your sweater and finish washing it, weaving in all the ends. Thank you for doing it. Congrats! That's amazing. You not only finished reworking something and you wove it. That is fantastic. Huge congrats on finishing that. Yes, that's awesome. Is it the half-hour cut off? Potentially. I might have to actually go to the bathroom. You meant to finish an edging this month, but then it switched to revamping my office, but then my health took a turn, so meh. Oh, Jacqueline, I'm sorry. I hope that you can kind of finish at least some projects that you're working on or make some progress in a way. That would be nice. Oh, brisket and ribs, I need a mod. Okay, sorry. I'm missing the comments. I will have to find one. I'll have to look. You've heard of people repurposing blenders, food processor, and high coffee meat grinders for breaking down filament to reuse it. Oh, that's a good idea, Midge. Socks roll, you've been hooked on knitting grandmother's favorite dishcloth lately, and you've only ever knitted one cardigan sweater. As a vintage pattern, I think it depends on potentially the complexity of it. Especially if you knit a cardigan, I feel like that can be a little bit more difficult because you have so many more pieces. I am going to have to take a really quick bathroom break, so I'm going to switch you guys to my pause screen. I will be right back for a bathroom break. I'll see you soon. All right. Hello. Again. I think I'm back. There we go. Had a quick bathroom break, and now I gotta see. Oh, I knit past a few stitches. Whoops. James, you don't have much space at the moment, so the castle wheel. Yeah, so you like the castle, but you adore Saxony. Yeah, the Saxony is like, it feels very like what I feel like I'm in the movies. Do you know what I mean? Like what I think of when I think of a spinning wheel. But the castle style, the other thing about the castle style wheels is that the orifice is a little bit higher, so I feel like I spin with a little bit better posture when I have that. But I only got to try one of my guild mates' wheels a little bit, and I was like, ooh, this is very nice. Deborah, for plastic recycling, use mold plugs on an injection molding machine. That's really cool. Oh, that's so cool. Thank you so much for sticking around for a bit, Mel's. I hope you have a good night. Thank you for joining. There's a rural living museum close by that has a craft evening once a month, which is called Handarbeiten hinterm Kachelofen. That sounds really nice. I do hope you get to go sometime. That's really, really cool. That's funny, James. Your first yarns were so artistic it became frustrating on the spindle. Yeah, I really couldn't get it to work for me, to be honest, on the drop spindle. I'm hoping to get it at some point, but I think I have to get a little bit better at spinning in general first, and then I can maybe go back to it. Oh, hello from Iceland. It's lovely to have you there. I'm so sorry. I don't think I can pronounce your name. I wish. So I actually had an exchange student at my college who was from Iceland, and she was one of my closest friends. We did like our senior project together, and her name was Haldís, and I could never get that middle sound correct, and she tried to teach me like the pronunciation of the different letters, and I wish I kept up with that a little bit better, so goes out to Haldís. Miss her a lot. You gave your daughter an I-cord doll toy. For your winter solstice celebration, she made a giant cord that's taking over her room. That's so cool. The doll toys, what are they called? I know them as Strickliese. Knitting Nancy, I think. I've heard of them called in English. I loved that too when I was a kid. That was so neat. Yeah, they aren't super reasonably priced sometimes, especially if you get like the vintage ones, but hopefully you can find one if you want to work on them. James, you need to find a spinning guild near me. That sounds like it is the knitting guilds intimidate you. Yeah, that might be. Oh my gosh, I keep on starting knitting again when I should stop knitting. Okay, stop. Gotta stop. I very much like my spinning guild. I feel really lucky to have one within an hour of me. Yeah, it's really cool. The cardigan you made was called Sheep Yoke Cardigan, which was a free pattern, but it was pretty easy. Front and back and knit in one piece, and you just pick up the sleeves. I mean, it's not so bad for a bit, but I will say I feel like it's probably, if you ever wanted to dip your toes into it, there's like this Squid School of Vintage Knitting. She has some vintage patterns that are like very well written in a more modern way, rather than trying to decode a vintage knitting pattern that might be a little bit easier to do. Jacqueline, you hate when you can't pronounce people's names right. I feel like it. Yeah, same. I feel like it. I want to be pronouncing people's names correctly. It's frustrating when I can't. Oh, your actual wheel is a polywog. That's so cool. Polywog. Reminds me of a Pokemon. Yeah, Knitting Nancy. Yep, that's really cool. Actual wheel, like your electrical. Yeah, that's true. I just realized, like, I say I have 3 spinning wheels, but in reality I have 4 because I don't count my electric wheel, even though it is an electric spinning wheel. Oh, interesting, Kim, that you learned to spin on a wheel and backtracking to use a spindle was hard. Yeah, I really want to, really fascinates me is I want to use some like historic spindles and whirls because there are people who make recreations of them and I would really love to use them and try them out and see what they're like. And I feel like that rhythm would be nice and it just looks so relaxing. It's a bit more portable than a spinning wheel, but yeah, I think I have to take some time to learn that coordination a little bit, just like you said. Yeah, Jacqueline, there is a spinning guild in Salt Lake City, but it's exactly 45 minutes on a work day is a little bit tough. It's mine particularly is on, like I said, Mondays. So Mondays from like 6 to 8, and then I have an hour drive. It's a bit far. Oh, you found that, especially if one's primary knitting is by machine, receptions from those who primarily hand knit can be mixed. You know, it's interesting. I've never um, come across that so much, except in at least not in person. I guess I have seen it in comments on my videos a little bit, but um, yeah, it's true. If it's not an easy thing to try to like, I don't know, say to people like, no, it is still handmade and I am knitting. It's just an entirely different like skill set. Sometimes it helps to know a little bit of hand knitting, but yeah, it can be. I just feel like machine knitting is not as well known, and people think that you just like put information into the machine and then you like sit back and just watch it happen. But it's so much more skill than that to make something successful on a knitting machine. Although it is fun if you like it. Jamel, you were confused when I started knitting again, and I was like, no, I know, my hands just want to be knitting. The thing is, I have to do the setup rows now for the Italian cast off, and I could start doing that, but I know myself well enough that my like, gosh, what words am I trying to say? Muscle memory, that's the word, would take over, and I would start doing the wrong thing because I have to slip stitches now, and I'm pretty sure I would totally forget to slip stitches. I can try, but I'll have to see. Oh yeah, very true. Maybe some Utah fiber will run into each other at some point, which would be fun. James Watson Polywonky Supply is super effective. That's funny. I like that. Oh yes, brisket and ribs. There is a fiber fair. I forget what it's called. It was brought up at the last spinning guild that I went to, but someone in my spinning guild is actually the runner and organizer of that one. If anyone remembers what the name is of that one. Yeah, it's really great. Oh, interesting that you like to spin with a drop spindle when you're standing more. It is, I will say that that seems very enticing because I feel like most of the crafts that I do while sitting. So it'd be nice to have something that like is not only a different motion with my hands and arms, but standing rather than sitting. That's really cool. Oh, you have one of the recreations. That's cool. You have the distaff and the Anglo-Saxon drop spindle. That's so neat. It's yeah, I want to use one of those so much. Yes, the Great Basin Fiber Arts Fair. That's exactly. Yes, that's the one. Yeah, I am in Utah. Mountain West. Nora, you find spinning on historical spindles very hard. You never mastered, and you prefer your modern wheel. I can't even get a modern spindle going. I can spin, on a modern wheel, but not a modern spindle, and so I feel like that transition is going to be pretty hard, but I'm hoping at some point I can get there. Oh, ad break. Water. James, you find machine knitting to be much less mentally taxing than doing it by hand. The latter nearly always makes you cry at some point because you get frustrated. It's interesting because I find that machine knitting has made me cry a little bit more than hand knitting. So we're a bit opposite on that, but I still I love the machine knitting I'm able to do and what it allows me to do even when I wouldn't be able to like crochet or knit or anything, but I can still machine knit. So that's I really appreciate it for that, and it's really fun to figure out. Like I'm a machine tinker, so I love figuring stuff out about it, which is really great. Kim, you're learning to machine knit. Definitely finding it challenging, not manipulating stitches so much, but making sure all my settings are correct. I dropped my knitting from the sheet. Oh my gosh, yeah, that is. Oh, those are the moments I think I've cried. Where you think everything's right, and you've worked so hard at a piece, and you move the character across, and then you just hear like a big thunk as it all just comes crashing down to the floor. Those were some harder moments. Oh, interesting. Lynn, you've gotten too old to care about how someone makes things. You just like seeing what they create, but you've got some comments about your crochet sometimes. Definitely had people tell me my own sweaters are def knitted. Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like that comes up a little bit frequently, especially with modern media and things where people mix up crochet and knitting and they insist it's one or the other. I can be a little bit of a stickler for that. I'm like, what? No, that's not knit. It's obviously crochet, or that's not crochet. It's very obviously knit, but I don't know. Maybe that's just a me thing. I like it. I like every art to be appreciated for what it is and not to be mislabeled. Does it count as a finish at February if I started and finished too smaller? Amigurumi's 100% Grace. You finished it. And in February. Hey, that's amazing. Were you mentioning that you started that a little bit earlier from the amigurumis based on the play? That's cool. And if not, I'm sure it's still real. I love amigurumis. Oh, Carpsy prefers standing while using a drop spindle, although you'd love to. That is fascinating. I wonder if, well, I guess I would have to start with park and draft, which might be easier while sitting, but maybe that might help. And it sounds like multiple people prefer standing while using the drop spindle. That's really cool. Love to knit. I think if you move your mouse from time to time, the screen wouldn't turn off. That is a good point. I'll try to remember to keep it going, and maybe keep an eye on my camera too. James, you do that a lot with your machine, but you've ended up having to frog so many things by hand when a ladder forms after dropping a stitch by hand and having to start again. Yeah, it's all about what you're able to kind of, like, I feel like I can fix things in my hand knits easier than I can on my machine knits, but that's just because I've been hand knitting longer and making mistakes in my hand knits longer. So I figured out how to fix them better. And I don't have the same level of skill on my machine knitting. It's gotten better, but there's definitely still times where I make a mistake and I'm just like, I don't know how to fix this. Am I going to have to start all the way over? And that's hard sometimes. Time to put the knitting down, Teresa. Had my interchangeable needles untwist and drop all the stitches fall. No, I'm so sorry. Oh, that is so frustrating. I love interchangeable needle sets as like, especially a storage saving solution, but so frustrating when they untwist and then all of a sudden, oh, I've had that happen. That is sad. Oh, Grace, it wasn't you. Sorry. Someone else mentioned it, but you're making a mobile for your sister's preschool class a season. Oh, that is so sweet. I love that, a season theme. So summer, spring, winter, fall. Oh, that sounds so lovely. Carpsy, you went straight into standing. You cannot get the hang of park and draft. Found it much more intuitive to let interesting. I wonder if I might be at that point after I do a lot of spinning on my spinning wheel where it feels a little bit better just to start standing and do the drafting. I have no, this is all theoretical. Yeah, I'll have to see. Oh, that's so cool. Thank you for the recommendation, or I'll have to look for spinning with historical and modern spindles. Oh, it's in German too, that's helpful. I will have to look. I have you to thank for making me want to machine knit. I will certainly need a whole barn to house my many hobby equipment. I know, I am taking over the house right now with all of my equipment. It is, I love it so much, and it's a lot of it though is also very beautiful, so I feel like I can make an argument that it's also kind of display pieces, but I don't know how much longer that's gonna work. I think I might be at my limit. I have what I lovingly call prehistoric spindles. The spindle stick is whittled, not laid, but then I glaze ceramic whorls. Oh, that's fun. And use them as drop. Spindles is hard. Supported spinning is absolute. Oh, interesting. So maybe supported spinning. I will have to look into all these options. I really want to do drop spindle spinning. Oh, interesting. You've had people say, Lynn, that you were sewing socks. Oh, you've had knitters tell you that what you were making was not crochet. I have seen some crochet stitches. Like I said, my mom does a lot of crochet, so she's crocheted some things that make it look like knit stitches, even with the V's and everything. It's incredible what you can do with crochet. I find really versatile. Have we seen Rajiv Surendra's videos? Such an old soul, and I love his setup. I think they've been recommended to me, and I need to watch them because they looked really, really interesting. I did really want to watch them as well. Looks like a few of you have watched them, that they're calming. I have to watch them as well. Okay, I'm gonna look at my pattern really quickly to remind myself of what the next 2 rows are, and I'm gonna see if I think that I can do it. Oh, wait, before we do that, we've got some tippy tappies. Tippy tappies. Hi, girly. Do you want to come on up? Hop up. You want to come here? Oh, she's just out of frame. She just came back from her hike. Oh, she looks tired. Oh, it's on your nose. Let me take that off for you. Oh, there you go. Hi. Hop up. I'm asking her to come hop, but it doesn't look like she wants to right now. Do you want to come up? Hop. No, she doesn't want to. I'm so sorry, but she's right down there. You might hear her smacking. She's directly next to the microphone. She looks really sleepy. Oh, hi, girly. Oh, sadly, yeah, she's just out of frame. Oh, hi. Do you want a nap? Yeah. Oh. Whoop. She can hear someone in the kitchen, so she might leave soon without saying hello in the frame. Hey, my sweet. How you doing? Did you have a good walk? Yeah, she hears people in the kitchen. I don't know that I can convince her to come up before she goes to check out what's happening. I agree. I'm decorating. When you buy another knitting machine, yep. And it is true. I think the vintage knitting machines look really cool. Nutters, yeah, she's back. I'm so sorry. She doesn't have the true star of the community. Oh, she just curled up by the door. Oh yeah, she's gonna be out in a second. The kitchen was not enticing enough. She's curling down by my feet at the patio door. She's gone straight to sleep. I think she had a really good hike. You're so distracted from work right now. Oh, on your walk earlier, your dog rolled in a bunch of sawdust from the tree just came down. Oh, that I'm sure your dog really enjoyed that. I don't know how much you enjoyed that, but I'm sure your dog loved that. Okay, knit and slip the ones. Trying to think if I think that I can reasonably continue the pattern or if I feel like I'm unfortunately going to mess it up if I attempt to continue knitting on the setup rows while chatting, because my muscle memory just takes over. What is it about fiber arts equipment that makes you want all of it? I've got so much. It's so true. It just really, it grows, it multiplies. It's a exponential growth of equipment for sure. Nutella pretending to be a cat as they can refuse appearance in lives. Yeah, 100%. Should I find if she doesn't want to come up, that's fine. She just wanted to say hello and get a little pet for me. I'm sorry. She was literally just out of screen. But I couldn't reach her and the camera at the same time to show you all, but she was just saying hi. Since you're doing more spinning, have you considered making garments for Nutella or Nutella blend? James, so I have been saving her fur from brushing it for the last 6 years. I have a drawer full of her fur, which is really funny when I had movers help me move, because I saw him open the drawer and just be like, what is this? It's like, oh, don't worry about it. It's just my dog's fur. So yeah, I do have the plans to do it, but I feel like it's one of those things that is so special to me that I want to feel pretty confident in my spinning ability so that I'm really happy with the end product. But yes, I have been saving her fur to make Chiangora at some point with her fur. Oh, ad breaks are more frequent? Okay, I'm so sorry. I also think that I don't think that I can continue knitting on this without making mistakes, so I might be calling it really soon. I'll just respond to a few more comments or chats as I see them coming in. Oh, Scott, your parents have a brother knitting machine they've never used, and as soon as you have space for it, you're absolutely taking it and teaching yourself to use it. That sounds amazing. What else do we have? James, you were saving fur from your tube, but ended up throwing it out when you moved. Yeah, it's definitely one of the more unique things that I've moved from place to place. Your friend, collecting noxious weeds. So you may need to collect woad with now. I will say I have been collecting woad the last few years and making woad balls with them based on medieval methods of preserving woad for when you're ready to dye with it. Yeah, I go deep in things sometimes. If you're thinking of getting your first knitting machine, escape all you can. There's no way. Well, once you get started, yeah, don't look at me and my I don't know how many knitting machines now. Oh, I'm so glad that you guys enjoyed this way to spend the afternoon. I think I'm gonna start winding it down to sign off. I hope everyone has a good evening or night, afternoon, morning, wherever you might be tuning in from. I'm glad everyone has maybe been working on some things, finishing some stuff, making some progress, or just hanging out, which is really nice. I'm glad Lynn, you've been able to sew in a ton of ends on the scrap yarn blanket. That's awesome. And Matilda, hi. From Germany. I'm so sorry. I think I'm just signing off, but hello. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you. I hope you have a lovely rest of your Finish It February, and I think I'll do at least one more stream. Now that some things are a little bit more ironed out, there might be a few more things that we have to consider, like a mod. But thank you so much for joining me. I think next time I'll probably have this one done, so it'd be really cool if on the third stream we could have this one done, and then all I have to do is weave in the ends. So that's really cool. Thank you so much. I'll see you again soon, hopefully. Bye. Have a good one, everyone.